I never get to speak about it, but when I decided to continue on from my undergraduate degree and get a master's and a doctorate in music, I was really passionate about wanting to become a college music teacher. And I sort of say college music teacher instead of the specific tracks of the specific position, because I guess I see more of this as holistic, and I never really saw myself as fully specializing in an area and being like a top tier person at a top research institution. I saw myself being at a smaller, more regional school or a private school, which consequently I've never taught at a private school before, and kind of not being a complete generalist or a jack of all trades, master of none, which I think is an unfair pejorative, but just someone who wears a few hats and specializes in a few different areas and can kind of, is kind of stronger because of it, that doing that is an asset and not a liability. And that's always the way I've felt, and I think that's the way any artist or person in the arts views things, and I think that's the way most arts professionals view themselves, not as being so narrowly specialized, unless they're really trying hard to do that for some specific reason, like a composer that just feels like teaching would just take too much time away from their writing. And like I remember reading that about Steve Reich in his book. But anyway, so it was a real shock to me when I got out of school that I guess I needed to be more savvy in how I marketed myself, that I needed that, as an academic, as an artist, as someone who was already involved in the professional scene, doing professional work. I needed a lot more salesmanship, and that just wasn't the expectation. You would go around and you would meet people in music or in the arts, and you would say, "Oh, who are you? Where are you from? Where do you play? Where'd you go to school? What have you done?" And you can immediately know if someone's, and you might not be able to tell, oh, this person is better than this person at this particular area, or which a lot of times all that's subjective anyway. But you could just talk to someone and you could kind of know a good bit about their background and what they do and what to expect. And so the idea that you needed to do more than that there would be hiring committees of people that didn't respond to that kind of networking, that kind of outreach, I just didn't really get it. I guess I still don't really get it, but of course, maybe I didn't know anything though about how overflooded the marketplace was, how many people wanted to do this or thought that they could or should do this. I'm not so, certainly don't think I'm the best or I'm the only person, but I have been an arts person my whole life. I was, to an extent, acting professionally at a young age. I'll talk about that another time, but I've been kind of interested in, engaged in, a patron of, an active participant in working in the arts since like my earliest memories, really. And so having a place in it seemed 100% natural to me, and maybe sure there's other people who find it through other paths, or have a similar story or whatever, but that just can't be the flooded marketplace of everyone. I mean, it wasn't until I started teaching that, at some of these smaller institutions, that I found people who majored in music or signed up for band because, well, they just didn't like anything else. That's great that the arts is there for that person, but that's not a reason that you're passionate about it. It's great that you can find a place in it. Anyway, so blah, blah, blah. I had my own struggles in finding work, finding my place in it, kind of selling how differentiated I am in my approach and my specialization. Not that it's better than anyone else, but it's different. It's not the same. It's not what you see is what you get. And I feel like everyone's always trying to put everybody into a box. And if it's not a box of your area of specialization, it's in a box because, as we know, you're in a box because of your gender or your race or whatever. Everybody's trying to kind of tag and metadata everything before those even existed. And people are more complicated and more diverse than that. And there's so much noise. I didn't know there was so much noise that it was necessary. But all this preface is just to say that I do see people talking about things on the internet and trends, and there's one composer whose name I know because he's trendy, and what would I say about him? I think I've never even listened to any of his music, which is showing my ignorance, but I haven't had a reason to. I don't have time to, but I am sure he's talented. I am sure that he is good at what he does and qualified, and I just see how many other people have, been supporting him and mentioning his name and programming his music, and it doesn't really matter in any other way. So I know he's a real person who is really capable and effective.
In 0.6 miles, exit right to exit 293, I-440 East, US 1, US 64 West, toward Raleigh, Cary, Wake Forest.
Okay, and he's active, and he posted recently on one of his social media accounts that he had been applying and was trying to get work as a composition professor, and he just couldn't find anything. So I don't even remember what he said he was going to do. I just stayed connected just to see if anything.
Exit right.
If there are any networking opportunities, relevant opportunities for me. I just like to stay connected to things. Everybody is always really critical of social media, and I absolutely agree with all the dangers.
In 1,000 feet, continue straight.
I absolutely agree with all the dangers and the downsides, and things were better before, but I've used social media to network, to get gigs, to get work, to find things to apply to also. So I sort of feel like professionally, because I have a portfolio career and I have a career where I have to network and sell myself when I can, if I can, then I have to kind of be connected. So I see these things, and I was just sort of taken aback that this successful, capable person, just that we couldn't rally to get this person to work. Why did I ever think that I was going to find something sustainable, just as I consider myself just,
In 600 feet, exit right.
Kind of a blue collar, working class musician, arts person, performer, teacher, and composer, conductor. But this person who seems like, ripe and groomed for it, they couldn't find anything. And I have this T-shirt I bought that I sometimes wear that I love, and it says somebody should do something. And really, to me, it's like my interpretation of it is I like that it's open to interpretation, because you could, some people, I have a friend who just interprets it as like, well, hey, someone should do something. Like somebody do something. But to me, it's like somebody should do something about this.
Continue straight.
I'm saying somebody because like we collectively haven't identified one person, but there should be someone with an assigned role who's doing their job that should make sure that this issue is taken care of.
Use the left 2 lanes to continue straight.
And, we often, I feel like in our field, in music, we're so tracked. Here are the composers, and here are the wind conductors, and here are the tuba players, and here are the violinists, and here are the bluegrass players, here are the rock guitarists, and here are the jazz guitarists, and here are the, here's the, jazz drummers. And, that everybody's so in their own field that, but someone should do something to make sure that talented musicians, teachers, communicators in our field have sustainable work, and that we don't let other people take all these opportunities through just being savvy marketers, savvy networkers, connected to somebody, but there is a degree of merit to it, because that's always what was really challenging for me, that everything is presented from the outside as a meritocracy, but when you're on the inside, it doesn't seem to be working that way. It seems like there's a lot of subjectivity and a lot of bias, a lot of prejudice, and I mean beyond the obvious gender and racial prejudice that that we're battling against, but I think there's bias and prejudice beyond that. So it makes me sad because I empathize with this person. I feel for this person. I feel like I can speak for people in the field that do the thing that I love, that I'm passionate about, that we shouldn't be okay with that. And I don't know whether the someone should do something is like, we need to find a sustainable role for this person so they can continue doing what they're doing, and they don't have to face more resistance and oppression and doubt, and don't have to be pushed around by people would say like, oh well, it's it's the free markets kind of deciding these things, but I think that these free markets are manipulated when people have to rely on being so salesy all the time. It's not really a free arts market at that point. It's open to manipulation, and or I don't know. So I don't know if it's that, or if it's that schools should stop graduating people or accepting people into programs when they can't guarantee there's going to be a sustainable role for them in that field, or they should be focused more on ensuring those people have a tracked career that they find. I mean, some of these things are like that. I don't think that is possible. So if that's not possible, then I think it's up to us, and somebody should do something. And this isn't about, it's about me and that I see myself through it, but it's really about seeing this person and not empathizing with their situation and not understanding it equal to the way I didn't the ways that I didn't understand and don't understand, the way I was treated in my searches for work. And by the way, I'm grateful for the opportunities that I've had, but I just fundamentally don't understand.
In 1 mile, use the right 2 lanes to take exit 95, North Carolina 55 toward Apex, Holly Springs, Fuquay Varina.
I fundamentally don't understand why we, in such a sensitive, highly communicative field, allow, HR representatives to push us around and say that we can't give feedback on hiring practices. I mean, there should be a way to give feedback that protects the institution and allows the institution to make the best decision for themselves, and to make that, especially a public institution or maybe a private institution that, have stakeholders that are involved in the search, that is totally transparent and not clandestine and not, I don't know. There should just be, somebody should do something, because that's unsupportive. And I think, if we don't support each other in the arts, how can we, on one hand, be like constantly fighting for support of the arts, and yet we acquiesce to situations, if we're in power, that doesn't support struggling artists and teachers, things like that. So I just think there's like kind of a double standard at play, and these are just things that are on my mind.